Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a card featuring Create a Smile to celebrate their 1-year anniversary or birthday. They have a current challenge going on right now in celebration of their birthday that asks you to make a birthday card with their products and link it up for your chance to win an awesome prize that includes some of their washi tape, stamps, stencils, enamel dots, etc. So it's a really awesome prize. And for today's card, I wanted to do something pretty clean and simple. I'm going to be using the Wave of Stars stencil from Create a Smile, the Coffee First stamp set, and the Friends in the Woods stamp set. I was inspired to go clean and simple, and in fact just one layer, because of the owner Christine's style, and I really love all the things she does with the stamps, and so I'm trying to kind of channel that style with today's card. I'm going to start by taping down my entire card so that I can do, so I put some embossing paste through the Wave of Stars stencil. I don't actually use embossing paste. I use spackling because it's a lot cheaper and it's what I have. And I was trying to make myself some silver embossing paste. I've seen people use the silver lately and I wanted to see if I could achieve that look on my own. So I have some distressed stain in a silver color there that has a little bit of sparkle and shine to it. And I'm going to mix it in with this spackling to mimic that look of silver embossing paste. And so I just took the distressed stain and spread it all out onto my craft sheet, which is the Ranger craft sheet, and then I mixed the the embossing paste into it. The spackling does have a tendency to dry up a little bit in between uses, but I've been told that you could just spray a little bit of water into it, and I find that works. So if you feel like your embossing paste is a little bit, or your spackling is a little bit dry, you can just spritz it with some water, but also the distress stain has some moisture in it. Now I just want to get one row of these stars, not the whole background of stars. So I'm going to be using some cheap painter's tape from the dollar store to tape off just the area that I want. I don't have to tape off I don't have to cover like every other part of the stencil that I don't want, just the area around it, so it makes it a little bit easier to spread. And so you kind of just spread it like you would cake icing. I did find that when it's dry, it's a little bit more difficult to spread, which gives you a more textured look. It's not as even and smooth, so if you were looking for a more textured look, then I would recommend using a little bit drier of the spackling, but if you were looking for a little bit more of that icing, sort of spread like butter kind of feature, then I might recommend giving it your spackling just a little bit more moisture. And so I'm just going to work it into the stencil until all the areas are covered. This was a little bit tricky because I am pulling up so that I don't swipe across the whole thing and get those areas where I don't want. And so eventually though I was able to get it, and you see how that painter's tape protected the back of the card there. And now I set this aside to dry, and I'm back with some letter stickers. I did not have any birthday sentiments. I do have 4 different Create a Smile sets, and I have some stencils, but nothing birthday themed. So I thought that I would create a custom sentiment with some letter stickers. My starting point for this card was that little squirrel in Friends in the Woods holding the little tiny coffee cup from Coffee First. When I first saw the Coffee First stamp set, I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make the little critters holding those tiny little coffee cups. And so this was a perfect opportunity. But I've also done it with the octopus from Create a Smile in a different video. So I am just laying out my custom sentiment, which is warm birthday wishes, to tie in the little coffee cup that will eventually be shown. And these are just some old teeny tiny letter stickers from my stash. I honestly don't even know who makes them, but you know, if you were into scrapbooking or a couple years ago, letter stickers were really popular. But you could do this with a stamp set too, if you had one of those stamp sets where you can build a custom phrase with the letters. So I'm going to be stamping the squirrel and the coffee cup as mentioned. I'll be stamping the squirrel in some of my favorite things, Black Licorice Hybrid ink. But then I'll just be doing some solid stamping with the coffee cup, because the coffee to go cup has a lot of solid area, and so I thought that it would be a little bit easier than trying to color it in, and it would add a little pop of color since there isn't much color going on this card, and then your attention would be immediately drawn to the color. I wanted to use a teal color, and so I actually got out my Hero Arts ombre ink in the Pool to Navy, and I'm stamping each of the choices down so I could see which one I liked best. So I stamped the pool, the mid-tone, and the navy so that I could pick which one. And I actually like the mid-tone one the best. And you see there that I'm stamping a few extra because I want to make sure that I get a really nice solid impression. And I also stamped 2 of the squirrels. I had thought about trying to color them. Actually, honestly, I tried to color the squirrel in an like orangey red color because there are orangey red squirrels out there, and I thought it would contrast nicely with the teal, but it looked ridiculous, and I guess I just chose the wrong colors. So I decided to go back and make a gray or black squirrel, which squirrels can also be gray or black, and so then that would really make that coffee cup stand out too. And so I'm taking my W markers. I have W7, W5, and W3 for the squirrel because, like I said, I want them to appear more black and not so gray. And so I went with the higher up, darker markers, the 7s. If you were trying to go for a lighter gray look, obviously you just go for the lighter numbers. And then once I blended it out with the W7, 5, and 3, I just kind of went over with a coat of the W1 everywhere to fill in the belly and make it a lighter tone there. And so once I was finished with that Copic coloring, I am ready to try to cut out the hands because I don't just want the coffee cup to be sitting on top of him because otherwise it wouldn't look like his hands were holding it. I really want him to appear to be holding the coffee cup. In retrospect, I could have done some masking, and that might have taken less effort and time because you could have stamped the coffee cup down and then masked the coffee cup off and then stamped the squirrel. But I didn't think of that in advance, and so here I am cutting out those little tiny arms with an X-Acto knife. Just a small slit will do. It's okay if you cut into his belly because his belly is going to be covered by the coffee cup. And then I use the X-Acto blades to sort of lift up his hands a little bit and slide that coffee cup into there with some multimedia matte from Ranger's adhesive. As you can see, I didn't even bother to fussy cut the squirrel before I did this because I was a little afraid that I would mess up and like cut one of his little arms right off. But it worked out. And so once I had that coffee cup adhered and I was sure that my idea was actually going to work out, I'm going to fussy cut out that squirrel to attach him to the card. But I really think that it created a fun effect, and I like that sort of dimension of it is that it's really and genuinely him holding it, and it creates a slightly different effect than masking it off. So then when I fussy cut it out, I ran the Memento Tuxedo black marker all around it to give it some finished edges, and then I popped him up on some foam tape just to add a little bit more interest. And I love the look of clean and simple cards, but I always want to add just 1 or 2 more things to it, and so I decided to round the corners. And the key to clean and simple is to know when to stop, and to know what sort of elements you can add before it becomes too much, like simple corner rounding. And so that's it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafty videos, you can subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be leaving you links to the products in the video description below, but also to the Create a Smile blog so you can find out more about their birthday celebration and join in for your chance to win the prizes as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.